Hello, good evening. It's Monday. I'm broadcasting to you from on top of an ironing board with my laptop in the spare room of my home in Shropshire. We're going to be talking tonight about technology for learning, which is module 3 of unit 1 of your level 6 diploma. More approaching halfway now through unit 1. We'll do what we've done before. We'll go through a hop, skip and a jump through the unit, but I'm hoping this time that the airwaves will last long enough for us to actually have a chat at the end, which didn't quite happen last time. But I'm Peter Neale, I'm your tutor for the evening. The webinar will last around about 30 minutes, and as before, I'm recording this session and it'll be available on YouTube later on today. But welcome aboard. In alphabetical order for your first name, I'm going to say hello just to check that everything's working. I know that with one or two people, they can't necessarily talk to me, but I can talk to them. But I'm going to unmute you in turn. Hello, Aftab, are you there?
Hi there, yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, brilliant. Somebody's talking in the background as well, but I hope everything's okay with you.
Yeah, just little ones.
Yes, I know. That used to be the case with me, but mine are all grown up now. Hello, Annette.
Hello.
Hello, you sound very distant.
Yeah, no, I'm here.
Lovely to hear you. Good evening, Dawn. Hello, Dawn, are you there?
I am, Peter, can you hear me?
Oh, you sound as though you're on the other side of the moon somewhere. But yes, as long as you can hear me, then pardon?
Yeah, I am. I'm fine. I'm here. I can hear you.
Oh,
Thank you.
brilliant. Hello, Di, are you there?
Hi, Peter. Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, that's much more clear. It sounds like you're in the next room. Excellent. Welcome.
I'm not, I assure you.
Madeline, good evening. Are you there? Madeline, can you hear me? Perhaps you could type something if you can hear me. Okay. Maxine, are you there?
Hello, Peter. Yes, I'm here.
Hello, good evening. How are you?
All right, thank you.
Well done. Now, Rachel has put a hand up, but I don't have a means of unmuting her. She says she has no sound. Oh dear. There isn't a lot I can do apart from ask Rachel to I'll send her the webinar later, because if you have no sound, I suppose you can look at the pictures. It's very exciting. Sharon, according to this, you're on the phone. Is that correct?
I am, yes. Yes, I'm here.
Right, well, I'll try and make it as interesting as possible, but you will be able to watch the YouTube video later. Okay, welcome aboard.
Oh, no, I'm watching. I've got it on screen as well.
Oh, okay, well done. I'll mute you for a second. And I'm going to try and talk to Sharon Thorpe, but I have a feeling that she can hear me, but I can't hear her. Is that correct? Yeah, I'm sure it is. Sharon did email me earlier. So we're all present and correct, and we'll get on with the show. This screen is designed to frighten you to death. As I said, we're almost halfway through Unit 1. I know that you've completed at the very initial planning stage, because I've received from all of you your evaluation checklist. I know that I've spoken to many of you in tutorials now, and I know that you're launching on it and getting on with the work, but this is really just to concentrate your minds. But the fact that you're here tonight and you're getting ready means that you are focused on this, but it is only something like 7 weeks to the 30th of April. So I just need you to focus upon finding the time and being disciplined and not leaving everything to the last minute. So I'm sure that's very clear in your mind anyway. And so you will have already gone through this process as well in terms of planning the assessment. Those are the areas that you would have looked at. And tonight is all about the second part of the first bullet point, learning technology. You'll find with these webinars that I always try and put a quote somewhere near the start, which sets the scene. And you'll also see in each page the name of the author, the year that they wrote the piece, and you'll find in the module handbook the reference so that you can go and look it up for yourself. I also always try to give you an idea where to find the quote in the module documents, and this is you'll see at the bottom, level 6 unit 1 module 3 page 11. Couldn't be simpler. There's no doubt that technology engages and motivates young people. Well, it doesn't need a genius to work that one out, but however, this benefit is only an advantage for learning if the activity is effectively aligned with what is to be learned. So, and this is going to be a little bit of a theme tonight, and it's the case with all sorts of resources, not just technology, but you can throw as much money as you like at resources, but if they're not focused in the right way, and if you don't have the right people delivering them, then you might as well have not spent the money. So the fact that you're buying technology in itself is not good enough. It's the way that it's used. And we'll see as we go along that there are different opinions as to the actual usefulness of technology for learning. And that's the sort of thing to build into your assignment when you start writing it. So these are the objectives for this evening. To evaluate the potential benefits of ICT to the learning and teaching process, to consider the contribution of ICT to enabling learning and personalising learning, to apply methods for assessing the cost effectiveness of investment in ICT resources, which is probably closer to your area of expertise, and then understanding our role in developing an efficient ICT strategy. We talked about personalised learning in module 1. And put simply, personalising learning and teaching means taking a highly structured and responsive approach to each child's and each young person's learning in order that all are able to progress, achieve and participate. It means strengthening the link between learning and teaching by engaging pupils and their parents as partners in learning. So personalised learning is a concept that's very much in vogue and has been for a few years, as you'll know, in your schools. But you'll see there listed below is a list of different ways that digital technologies can enable that personalization. So this is applying technology to an existing theory of learning, and you'll see through choices, skills and knowledge, learning environments and feedback. Those are different ways that you will have seen digital technology used in your school. So the effective use of ICT can be a major driver in the process of transforming learning and teaching in schools. And there are lots of examples of ineffective use, and you may have horror stories of your own where you've invested heavily in laptops and either some have gone missing, or you've used tablet computers and they've been a gimmick and nobody's really bothered with them. Or in my case at my last school, huge investment in interactive whiteboards and hardly anybody using them. So don't always be carried away by what somebody might see at a technology show about what the next big thing might be. Always try to use common sense and to consider exactly what it is that you're buying and what the purpose of it is. As technology develops, it will continue to support and encourage changes in teaching and learning pedagogy, facilitating personalization, expanding learners' choice of resources and courses, and providing access to specialist training and mentoring. All this will enhance the voice of individuals and promote partnerships and collaborative working. We've used the word pedagogy. I'm hoping that you're familiar with that. It's really learning how to learn, or learning how to teach and how to discover things. It's another method of it, or it's a description of a method of learning, and it's a word that you'll come across from time to time. That's interesting. An interesting quote from Ofsted. An overall high profile of ICT across school life is often found in schools that have outstanding as an inspection outcome. So used properly, your investment in ICT, in technology, really can have a positive effect on the whole school life. But it's the same as with any resource. You've got to plan it and think it through. Don't just be wooed by the whichever salesperson comes your way. The BESA, it's worth looking out for, but they are they do have an interest. They're the Educational Suppliers Association, so they want you to buy things, but they do provide information about patterns of school expenditure, and they're worried that ICT expenditure has peaked. I'm sure several of your schools will have received their funding statements recently, or just about to, and you'll find that things haven't really increased. Our costs are going up, our income isn't, and something's got to be squeezed somewhere. Several schools will be going through processes of restructuring where they're losing staff members very regrettably, and you just think, well, is now the time to invest? If you've got capital funding, then brilliant. Or if you've saved for a rainy day, then great. But you'll see there that the industry itself is worried that the gravy train has left the station, and that there isn't quite as much money to invest as there was. More and more, we're needing our equipment to last longer, and we're needing our technicians to be able to get the rubber bands and string and chewing gum and keep it all together for as long as possible. This is something that I alluded to a little earlier, and you'll find quotes like this with regard to teaching assistants in classrooms. Education software, $2 billion a year industry that has become the darling of the school systems across the country, has no significant impact on student performance, according to a study by the US Department of Education. And there are studies that say having teaching assistants, learning support assistants in the classroom has no beneficial effect to attainment, no impact whatsoever. So this is me saying to you, take things with a pinch of salt sometimes. Perhaps things aren't quite as perfect as you might think. My master's degree 3 or 4 years ago suggested very strongly that there's no relationship, or if there is, it's a very vague relationship between school funding and pupil attainment. If there was a direct relationship between resources and attainment, then we'd throw loads of money at all the schools and all the children would get grade A's for everything. But it's much more complex than that. And okay, it's great to have the resources, but in my opinion, from my findings, it's still the traditional things of great teaching and parental support that lead to pupil attainment. So don't, just because you've got the best resources, it doesn't necessarily follow that you'll have the best school, but it could be an ingredient that might attract the best teachers to your school. So it is certainly worth thinking about. Vector is another group that's worth looking into when you're doing your research. And there's a list there of learning that can be facilitated through the use of digital resources, but then you could say that learning can be facilitated anywhere by just through the normal classroom with books, or even going back to slate and chalk, learning from experts, learning with others, learning through making, etc. But it is definitely worth having a look at Vector. Their research also raised issues in terms of the lack of impact on raising the attainment of pupils with special educational needs. However, they did find that digital technologies had a marked effect on engaging attention and improving behaviour. So whilst the attainment might not be improved per se, if you can improve attention and behaviour, then, well, it's very much worthwhile. Digital literacy is a phrase that you've probably heard before. You've probably also heard about things like digital natives and digital immigrants. Digital literacy improves employability because it's a gate skill demanded by many employers. Notice that the dates of some of these studies, 2015, 2011, I would strongly suggest that you don't look at anything more than say 10 or 11 years old, because this world has moved on rapidly, and you'll find that if you look at articles from the 1990s and the turn of the century, they've got quite a different view of technology. Clearly they didn't know where it would go from there, and so unless you wanted to do a study in history, I suggest very strongly that you only look at more recent documents. But digital literacy is a basic tool now to ensure employability, and we have to ensure a pupil's digital literacy is at a suitable level for the future workplace and the opportunity to deliver a strong life skill for all pupils. The national curriculum in England says that a computing education ensures that pupils become digitally literate, and they define that as being able to use and express themselves through information communication technology at a level suitable for the future workplace as active participants in a digital world. We're assuming that the world's going to go in that direction. All the signs are that it is, but you never know what might happen next. Zhao and Frank, and this is a little bit older than some of the studies that we've looked at, but it's made an interesting analogy by comparing the introduction of technology with the introduction of a new species into an ecosystem. And I think some of you will be familiar with these reactions, and in fact from talking to one or two of you in tutorials, this is still going on now, where the native species, the teachers, are uncertain about the new species and may reject it completely. And I think you'll find that some teachers really still now are very unsure and very uncertain about how to react with technology. I'm hoping that many more of you are in the adaptive phase 2, where the teacher starts to assess the value of the new arrival to determine its potential benefits or downsides. And then, of course, many of you, and I'm sure that I'm speaking for you as individuals, are phase 3, and technology is conforming to your needs, and you're adapting it for your needs, and but also some teachers are adapting their strategies to meet the technology, and so a process of co-evolution develops. I just think it's an interesting scenario, and you can understand what they're getting at. We're getting towards the end of our hop, skip and a jump through the module, so you'll be pleased that you'll have a chance to ask me any burning questions, or I'm a little bit tempted to take the mute off everybody to see what happens, but I am warned that chaos will ensue, so perhaps I won't. So please be ready to put your hands up to ask me any questions in a few moments. But this is a concept that's been developed in recent years of total cost ownership, because the cost of ICT isn't just about the hardware or the software. As you can see there, in 58% of primary schools and 62% of secondary schools, they found that the cost, the total cost, also included support, so formal support, so helplines or what have you, but also user self-support. So there's a lot of additional cost involved when you're looking to make a purchasing decision. Hardware was the next cost, followed by training, consumables, etc. So you might not think of support when you're shopping around, but it is a very expensive commodity, and that model can help you with your planning process, and it shows all the inputs, the technology, the support, user skills, user experience to come with the outcomes, which principally are the educational outcomes, but also there could well be management outcomes in helping you to run the school, because not all ICT is for learning. It could be used for administrative purposes as well, or for planning and strategy. it may be useful to divide expenditure into 4 broad areas: hardware, software and support, which is what we've just mentioned; virtual learning environments or learning platforms, many schools have them, and colleges, universities; management information systems, the one that we use at my school is called SIMS; or mobile technology. Although if you're in a school built like mine, none of it works because there's no mobile signal with the steel and the concrete construction. And this really is your area of expertise. Whilst you might not be fully au fait with every nuance of the digital world, you will have robust procurement processes in place. So if you're going to buy ICT, you're going to go through the initial review or audit. You're going to do a strategic audit. What do we need? Why do we need it? Where's the school going next? What are our deficiencies? How do we make things better? And then you would seek external advice, and you would ask other schools what they use, people that you trust will give recommendations. If you meet with different companies, you'll ask for references, and then you'll also consult, as many of you are with your projects at the moment, with pupils, teachers, governors and parents. So I think that's really something that you would do anyway if you were purchasing anything of any great quantity or cost. So we're back to this page just as a reminder, and we'll just go through a process of summary before I ask you to join in with the conversation. But in each of the module documents, there's a list of references. This is from module 3. There are 2 pages of references, and you can see it listed in alphabetical order in the Harvard style. I really suggest that if your project is related to technology for learning, that you should already have had a good look at some of these. Look at the ones that look the most interesting and the most relevant to what you're doing. And we've talked in tutorials about smart reading. Don't just read a document from page 1 all the way to the end. It's not a novel. It's not a story. It's often an academic journal or article. So read the executive summary or abstract to see whether it's exactly what you're looking for. If it isn't, just put it down. Don't worry about it. If it is interesting, then read the introduction. Skip the body of the work, because a lot of that is to do with the methodology and how they found out what they found out, and skip all the way to the conclusion and jot down some juicy quotes to help build your argument, but also read the reference section at the bottom, because you might find further articles of use to you. I think a lot of you are a long way down the road with that now, but it's something to keep repeating and to refine as you go through the different units on this course. I also put this slide on my last webinar. All 3 of those books are excellent. You'll see they go back into the 80s or 90s, so there are older editions available. eBay, you can probably pick something up for £2 or £3. Also on the Amazon marketplace. They're probably available as ebooks, but they'd be more expensive because they'd be the latest edition. But the principles have been roughly the same ever since they were first published, and I think you'll find that one of those books, I used the Martin Denscombe one, the top right, when I did my master's degree, and it's just a very useful practical guide to help you through your research project, and you'll be able to use it throughout this course, not just for this unit. And then of course, going back to the induction unit, there's the practitioner research module that was sent to you right at the start. Please refer back to that if you haven't already. This is an example of a master's degree level document, a literature review, just showing how somebody has demonstrated that they've done the reading. So there's something like 6 different authors that are referenced in this one paragraph, and it's just an example of building an argument. And and demonstrating how widely you have read. It takes a while to develop this style, and as I say, this is master's level, so I'm not expecting you to do this straight away, but it's just to give you an idea of how to reference a piece. And you can see most of them have got the page number as well as the author and the year, and then that'll be referenced in the bibliography at the bottom, just to give you an idea of how to show what you've read. Or you could just decide to take little quotes in isolation, or don't quote at all, but just refer to the authors and their work. So this is the summary. We're reaching the end. I'm hoping some of you are going to put your hands up so we can have a chat in a moment. Because here we are. We've arrived at any questions. In fact, we've only got about 5 minutes to go after me talking away. Looking at the list of names, I can't see that anybody's got their hand up. I hope you know what I mean by putting your hand up. There's a little icon on the side of the dashboard with a little hand, outstretched palm. If you have a question or a thought that you'd like to share with everybody, please click on that. Oh, here we are. What have we got here? I've got, oh, this is probably from a little while ago. I can hear you, Peter, but you can't hear me, Madeline. Well, at least you're there. I'm glad that you are. And then hi, Peter, just to say I can hear you, from Sharon Thorpe. And Rachel Bailey said she has no sound, which is very disappointing. But well, I'm filling in time at the moment now because it doesn't look as though anybody's got their hand up. Oh, here we are. Rachel Bailey's got her hand up. Let's see. Hello, Rachel. Have you got your hand up?
Hi, Peter. Yes, just to let you know that I got sound about halfway through, so I did catch some of the webinar.
Oh, well done. I'm delighted about that. Was there anything that you wanted to ask while you've got all of our attention?
Nope, I'm fine, thank you. So.
All right. Well, I'm glad that you're with me, but you can catch up with the beginning of the webinar when I put it on YouTube later on. But thank you very much for that.
Super, thanks.
Does anybody else want to ask me anything? Because otherwise, we'll just move on to the end of the webinar. Most of you here tonight have booked or have actually taken part in your tutorial. I've been really encouraged by the standard and your commitment and your professionalism and the wide range of experience. It's been an absolute pleasure getting to know you. It's the very best part of this job, because clearly we're not face to face. We don't get to meet each other, and you really are some very experienced and gifted people. So I've got a lot of faith in this group. That with a bit of application, you're going to do very well indeed. So but if you haven't booked your tutorial, there's still the doodle poll that I sent out last month. There are still some spaces. If you can't find a space on there that suits you, send me an email and I'll do my best to accommodate you. Now, the online learner discussion forum, I know some people can get on and some can't. I still can't. So I'm hoping that the ones that can are making best use of it. If you need to send a questionnaire or you'd like to send a questionnaire to the other learners, there's no harm in replying to one of my emails that I sent to everybody. And I'm sure if you were sent an email with a link to a survey, I'm sure you'd have the courtesy to give a full and frank reply on SurveyMonkey or Google Surveys or whatever it is. I haven't had any updates lately about the website. I was promised, as I have been several times, that it was going to be up and running. So I don't actually know whether it's working or not at the moment, but please keep trying. Don't give up, because it will be a brilliant resource, because you are such experienced and interesting people. We've only got one more of these, 2 weeks tonight. Module 4 won't be relevant to too many of you if your project is on technology for learning, but there are some people who've got a combined project, or got projects that have an element of supporting. It's particularly aimed at special educational needs and visually disabled or less able students, and supporting those with the curriculum. So if your project involves those aspects, then please join me in a couple of weeks' time. I notice actually quite a lot of people have already registered, so thank you very much for that. And as we're coming to the end, it's now just after 8 o'clock. Thank you very much for your attendance. I don't seem to have any more questions from anybody, but I will double check before we disappear. But as always, if anything occurs to you, please send me an email, and if I don't know the answer, I'm sure I'll find somebody who does. So as there are no further questions, I'm going to say thank you very much for your time. I wish you all the best, very best of luck, and continue doing what you're doing, and I'll speak to you in a couple of weeks' time. I'll say thank you very much and good night.